Hello everyone, I am Siddharthan. In this video, we are going to learn how to build AI-powered stock trading agents using CrewAI. CrewAI is a powerful framework for building multi-agent systems driven by large language models, or what we call as LLMs, and it allows you to create autonomous agents that can collaborate, communicate, and also carry out complex workflows. So in this tutorial, we will explore how to use this CrewAI to design, let's say, a team of agents that can analyze stock data, make trading decisions, and also retrieve real-time stock information using a custom tool that we will develop. So if you're interested in combining LLMs with intelligent trading automation, you're in the right place. So let's get started. So first part of doing this is setting up our environment. So I have my PyCharm ready, but again, you can work on your VS Code or other IDEs as well. And these are all the libraries that I'm going to use. So these are the latest library versions at the time I'm recording this video. So you can use like the latest versions by the time you're watching this. So now it's CrewAI 0.140 and the corresponding versions as you can see here. So first we need CrewAI tools, python.env to kind of load our environment variables, the API keys and all those secret informations, and then Y Finance. So Yahoo Finance is basically used to get real-time price details and stock information for a particular stock. So we will build a tool that's going to give you like these real-time stock information for a particular stock that you're interested in. So this is the main idea. So you would have a stock analyst agent, you would have a decision making agent, and you would have a tool that would be integrated in these agents that can kind of get real-time informations and price details of a stock. So these are the aspects that we will build. So first step is to install the libraries. So create a file called as requirements.txt, and then you can run this command pip install -r requirements.txt. So here I've created a virtual environment in PyCharm. So if you are not familiar with PyCharm, I have a video on PyCharm installations and VS Code installation. You can check that out as well. So as you can see, all these libraries are already installed as I already ran this pip install command. So I'm just going to clear this. Uh, yeah, okay. So now we have like all these libraries. Now let's see like what we have to do. So there are like three main aspects to this Crew AI system that we are interested in right now. So I'll create a directory and I'll call this as agents, where we would have our agents related code. And then I'll create a folder called as tasks. So basically, we assign a agent with the task that it needs to kind of carry out, and all the agents related information we would have in this agents folder, all the task related, the description and so on, we would have in this tasks. And then we can create another directory called as tools, and you can have this over here. So this is like kind of the standard approach that we have for like Crew AI. And the next step that I'm going to do is create a .env file. So where we are going to store our API keys. So in this case, I'm going to use Grok API. If you have like, let's say a larger GPU, you can just like load your models locally with Olama or Hugging Face. But I have like a 4 GB NVIDIA GPU, so it's probably like I cannot load larger models. I'm going to rely on the Grok APIs, but uh, the process is like pretty similar. It's not like very different from using Grok or OpenAI models or even like Olama models. It's kind of like configurable. So if you're going to use Grok API, you can just create this variable name called as Grok API key in your .env file, which we will like later load in our uh, you know environment variables, and that will be used to call the model. So that's the idea. So to get the API keys, so you can just like sign up with Grok if you haven't already, and then you can create a new key. So here I'll call this as Crew AI stock trader. Okay, and then I click on submit. So this would create a API key. So I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. All right. So we will load this, and the other things like CrewAI LLMs would kind of like look for this key, and it would like call the Grok LLMs API, and we should be like good with that. So that's the process for this. So I'll close this, and now let's create, let's say the agents. So as I said, we are going to kind of have like two agents over here. So I'm going to create a Python file and name this as analyst agent. Okay, and here let's say import maybe from CrewAI import agent comma LLM. Okay, and then I'll say LLM is equal to LLM, and within model I'm going to say grok slash let's say I want a 70 billion model. So I'll come back to this uh, API docs in grok and search for, you can just search for grok AI models and it would give you the list of models. So a 70 billion model like works well for this particular use case. I'm going to use this 3.370 billion versatile. You can try this, but if you are not getting like expected result, if you're facing some issues, that means like the LLM is not able to do the task properly. So you can just go with this 3.370 billion versatile. So I can paste it over here. Okay, so if you're using OpenAI model, so you instead of grok you would say OpenAI slash the corresponding OpenAI model. So you can just like do that over here. Temperature is equal to 0. Let's have the 0 so that our result is kind of like reproducible, and then we can create our analyst agent. So I'm going to say analyst agent is equal to agent, and within this we have to pass a few things. So first is like, let's say the role, and let's call this financial, let's say market analyst, and then we have a goal is equal to uh, I have this kind of typed in already, so let me just like go ahead and copy that. This is a string, as this is like a longer string, like we are putting this in a parenthesis. Maybe I'll just show this to you. So this is like the goal of this agent. As this is in multiple lines, so I'm just like kind of breaking this, and you have to put this parenthesis to kind of make sure like that it is like a proper multi-line string. Okay, so first is your goal, next is your backstory. I'll explain you about this goals and backstories. Okay, let's understand this. Okay, so we have a financial market analyst, and the goal of this is perform in-depth evaluations of publicly traded stocks using real-time data. Okay, so this is the idea. So this analyst agent, given a stock, let's say we give a stock name like Tesla or Apple, so it should do a in-depth analysis of that particular stock with real-time data and identify like, let's say the trends, performance insights, and like all those things. So you have to mention like what's the goal for this agent in this goals parameter, and then you have a backstory. Backstory is like kind of like you have to tell like the persona of that agent, so what it has to do, like what is its experience and so on. So if you see here, we are saying that the backstory of the agent is that it is a veteran financial analyst with deep expertise in interpreting stock market data, technical trends and fundamentals. You specialize in producing well structured reports that stock performance using live market indicators. So you can just like give this backstory. So these are like the two key aspects of a agent, where you have to define the goal for that agent and also provide the backstory. So next is this is basically powered by LLMs, right? But the LLMs, just the LLMs without any tools, doesn't have access to the real-time data. So for that, we need a tool that can search for the real-time information of a stock. So here I'm going to create another parameter called as tools. And right now it's empty, but we will develop that tool as well right now. And I can keep this verbose is equal to true. Okay, so this is my first agent, and we have to write like basically build a tool for this, where given a stock it would give you like the real-time information. Okay, so that's the next step. So I'll create a new file, new Python file, and I'll call this as stock research tool. Okay, so within this tools directory, so here I'm going to say import y finance as yf, which is used to get all those uh, real-time stock information, and from CrewAI tools import tool. So first, so we have to kind of use this decorator and have this live stock information tool thing. But before that, first I'll show you like how this entire thing works. So I'll say define get stock price. I have Copilot kind of like enabled, so it's kind of looking at my other files and it's kind of like giving the code, so I can just like use this code itself. Okay, I'll explain you this. So we have a tool called as a get stock price, and I have a stock symbol. The data type is string. So basically, this is the tool that we are going to create, and the purpose is to get the stock price. And the input parameter for this function is stock symbol, which should be of data type string, and it should kind of output the data as string as well. So this is important because then only the agent or the LLM knows that it should give the stock symbol in the form of string, and the output is in the form of strings and so on. And it also looks at this doc string in order to understand this tool better. So it says that retrieves the latest stock price and other relevant info for a given stock. So if you give like stock things like Apple, Tesla, or other things, it's going to get the relevant information from this. So parameters is stock symbols is like all those symbols of stocks, and it returns a summary of the stock current price, daily change, and other key things. So you call this stock is equal to YF, which is this Y finance thing that we have imported, and you have to pass a stock symbol, and it's going to kind of get that info, and from that we are going to get the regular market price, regular market change, and like all these things. So we have all these aspects, and if current price is none, could not fetch price. So if it's not able to get a price for a stock, sometime we would have typed the stock symbol in a wrong way and so on, so it's going to say that could not fetch like stock price. And then finally we are returning a string that has the details of the stock symbol in uppercase letter. It's going to have the price of that stock, like at what price it is trading, and like what's the change and so on. So this is the symbol. So we have to add this decorator, but before that we can test if it's working. So we can just say uh, get stock price. Let's say Tesla. This is an example usage. Again, we shouldn't like use this in our actual code, but let's kind of try to run this and get this output. So let's call this as stock info, and we can print this. So this TSLA is the stock symbol for Tesla. So let's run this. So this Y Finance doesn't need any API key separately. So like we are good with this. See, so we have this final string that we got, which says stock is Tesla, price is current price is this, change current days change is there. So it would give this information. So our analyst agent is going to call this tool, and it would pass like the stock that we're interested in. So if the user gives the stock as Apple, it's going to pass that stock symbol to this get stock price, and it's going to get the details for this and so on. So this is just for testing purposes, so we don't need this in the actual code, so we can remove this. And the next thing is we have to decorate this as a CrewAI tool. So you can use this ampersand symbol, call this tool, and within that you can just like name the tool. So let's call this livestock information tool. Okay, so this is the tool that we have right now. So I'll come back to my analyst agent. So in this analyst agent, within this tools, I'm going to first import it from where we have developed it. So I'll call this as you know from tools dot stock research tool, the one that we have developed, and import get stock price, and mention it over here. So get stock price. You can ignore this annotations right now. It's like data type thing, but that's okay. So it shouldn't be an issue. Okay. So this analyst agent is going to perform an in-depth evaluation of real-time data of a particular stock, and that real-time information is provided by these tools. So that's the first step. And the next agent that we are going to create is trader agent. So this trader agent, like the stock analyst agent, would give it with all the information it needs, and the trader agent would kind of make the decision of whether we have to buy that stock or like we have to hold that stock. So that's the idea. And so the you can think about doing this thing with the analyst agent itself, but in CrewAI, it's kind of uh, better and efficient for agents if they can just do one job. So if you want a agent to do multiple jobs, then it's not going to perform that well. So always stick to having like one particular task for one particular agent. So analyst agent is going to analyze the information for a given stock, and trader agent is going to kind of make that call of whether we need to buy that stock or not buy that stock. And again, it's just for demonstration purpose. I don't recommend anyone buying or selling stock depending upon like what this agent is doing. So we are doing this just for the learning purpose. I just want to be clear with that. So yeah, and now what I'll do is from CrewAI import same thing, agent and LLM. Okay, and I can use the same thing. So you don't have to give this LLM thing. As you can see here, I think I haven't mentioned this LLM, but what happens is like it would kind of work with the default LLM. In case you want different LLM for different agents, in that case, like you can say, so let's say that this is a complex trading agent, and let's say that you're saying it doesn't need like a larger model. In that case, you can leave it as such. uh, Maybe I'll just explain you this in this case. So I'm going to copy this, and just like have this similar structure for this as well. So this one doesn't use the tools, but let me put it this way. Okay, so these are the things it's going to need, and this one doesn't need any tools. So I'll just like keep this as empty list, who goes through backstory and so on. So now let's say that if let's consider that analyst agent is a complex agent and it needs a larger LLM. So you can just say that use this model for this. If you think that this is a simpler model, you don't have to use 70 billion model for this. So rather you can use a 8 billion versatile model. So that's going to work. So that's the difference of like, or basically the advantage of like defining these separate LLMs for separate agents. So that's the idea. So now for this trader agents, let's call this as strategic uh, stock trader, the role. And again, as I said, I already have this goals information here in a multi-line string. So let's call this decide whether to buy, sell, or hold a given stock based on live market data, price movements, and financial analysis provided by the available tools. So basically the analyst agent would kind of get all these information, and this stock trader agent is going to like do that analysis, and it's going to make that call. And then we have a backstory. Mm, okay, decide whether to buy a stock based on live market data, based on provided by provided. Okay, I do. We don't need to mention the tool because the tool is actually getting used here. So I'll just like remove that tool part. Decide whether to buy a stock financial analysis with the available data. Okay, that should be good. So backstory is this is this particular agent. It's a strategic trader with years of experience in timing, market entry, and exit points. You rely on real-time stock data, daily price movements, and volume trends to make trading decisions that optimize returns and reduce risk. So this is the goals and backstory that we have. And even let's say for some projects like you are not able to uh, decide properly on goals and backstory, you can just like use ChatGPT or other kind of AI tools in order to frame a very good goal and backstory for you, like so that like you don't have to work hard on this. So it's kind of like much easier when you use that to define this goals and backstory. Just like provide your requirements. So that's like an easier way to do this. You don't have to break your head trying to figure out like the proper goal and backstory. Okay, so here we have analyst. Okay, we have to rename this to trader agent. Okay, so basically we have two agents. One is analyst agents that's going to get all the information and then pass it to the trader agent, and that's going to make like the final call of whether it should, buy a particular stock or not. So that's the idea. And LLM here also we are using a 3.370 billion versatile LLM. So next is we have to define the task for this. Okay. Similarly, it's basically we would create two tasks for these two agents that we have. So I'll create a Python file and call this as analyze task. Oh, sorry, should be a Python file. Okay, so here from CrewAI import task with uppercase T, and then we have to import the agents related to that as well. So analyst agent is kind of linked with this analyze task, so we have to import it from there, and then create a task. So say that get uh, stock analysis. This is the stock that we are basically task that we are interested in. So say get stock analysis, define this task, and here we need to pass the description, it again with a detailed string with all those information, and then we can mention this expected output. Let me copy this as well, let's not waste time typing that. Okay, so this is the one that I've kind of worked on earlier. So in the agent, you have to pass this analyst agent. Okay, so these are the three main parameters for this. One is the description of this task. So basically what it has to do and how do you expect the output to be in what format or the structure that you're expecting this. So you can mention that in this expected output and then pass the agent over here. So we have analyzed the recent performance of the stock, and the key thing is, right, so we would pass this stock name in a variable. Let's say that we are passing this in a variable called a stock, and we can kind of in this task description you can put that variable name within this curly braces. So what would happen is in runtime this stock description, this variable is replaced with the actual value. So basically, let's say that when you are running this Crew AI agents system, the Crew, you would say that I need information about this stock called as Apple. And in this task description, it would automatically replace this variable with Apple. So that's why we are mentioning this in this curly braces. So that's the key aspect that you need to remember. So all these variables can be propagated into this task description. So here we are saying that analyze the recent performance of this stock, this particular thing, which is going to be replaced later. Use the livestock information tool to retrieve current price, percentage change, trading volume, and so on. It's basically like defining the task for this agent and expected output, a clear bullet pointed summary, current stock price, and so on. It's you. I mean, you don't have to stick exactly to the words that I'm using. So just like do experimentations. If you wanted to do a different task, just like change these descriptions, expected output, and so on. You can play around with that. Only main aspect is like all these structure and the required parameters. Let's say you need a description, expected output, agent, again you can update your agent to do a different thing and so on. All you need is like a agent, a task, tools if necessary, if you want to do like specific things that LLM cannot do in this case, which is like getting the live information of a particular stock. So you can do that. So this is for this analyze task. So similarly we have to create a task and assign it to this trader agent. So I'm going to create another Python file and call this trade task. Okay, let me just copy this quickly. So, okay, so from CrewAI import task, same structure of what we did with analyze task. Call this trade decision. So this is like get stock analysis. This is like trade decision. So task use live market data and stock performance indicator for stock. Again, this is a variable as we have mentioned this in the parenthesis, sorry, the curly braces to make a strategic trading information, assess key factors such as current price, daily change percentage, and so on. So this information is going to come from the tool. A clear and confident trading recommendation, buy, sell, or hold, supported by like these things. So it basically should say whether we need to buy, sell, or hold a particular stock, and we have to like kind of make this decision. The agent should make this decision based on these key parameters, and we are going to assign it to the trader agent that we have developed. Okay, so these are the main things. So you have two agents and you have assigned like the two tasks for these agents, and then you have a tool to kind of carry out some specific things. In this case, the function of the tool or the purpose of the tool is to retrieve the latest stock price and other relevant info from Yahoo Finance. Okay, so now we have like two more steps to do. So we have to create a crew, and then we have to create a main file that's going to call this. So I'll close all these tabs, and in this project directory, I'll create another Python file, and I'll call this as CrewAI. Sorry, just crew.py. And here we have to create a crew. This is a simple thing. From CrewAI import crew. So the uppercase C, and then from tasks dot analyze. Okay, first let's get the analyze task, import get stock analysis. This is nothing but like the exact same thing that we have created. So we have created this get stock symbol and trade decision, right? So we are importing those variables, and then from tasks dot trade task import trade decision. Then we have to import the agent from agents dot analyst agent import analyst agent trader agent import this trader agent thing, and create a variable called as crew and say crew is equal to crew open and close parenthesis and pass your agents in a list and tasks in a list and so on. So this is the order in which it's going to flow. So when you call this crew that you're naming, you can also give like a different name, stock analyst crew or something. So it's not like a mandatory thing that this variable should be the same thing. Okay, so you have to say that analyze task trader agent and the corresponding task. So this is the order it's going to follow. It's first going to analyze the stock, and this analyst agent kind of has this tool, right? So it's going to do that research thing, and then trader agent is going to make a decision on top of all this information that we get from this analyst agent. And then we have like the two corresponding tools. Verbose is just to kind of better for debug purposes and so on. We can see like the intermediate results. Okay, so you need a agents folder, tasks folder, tools folder, env to have your environment variables, crew AI, and finally we can create main. Okay, I think we may face an issue because we have defined LLM separately for agents, but we haven't defined like the overall agent. Let's see if it works. Okay, and main. So finally, I can say from .env import load.env. This is to, we have a grok API key, right? So this should be saved in the system's environment variable. So in order to do that, we need this load.env. And then from crew is nothing but the Python file that we have created. So from crew import crew, which is, maybe I'll rename this. I'll call this stock crew. Not a great name, but for now that's okay. So we have from crew import stock crew. Right. So now I'll call this load.env. So this is going to load this environment variables, and then call a function called as a run stock result. Yeah, this is what we need. As you can see, it's basically you can see this completions and all those things, right? So I have a GitHub Copilot personal accounts, and that's kind of does a lot of things. You can maybe explore that. That's like pretty useful. Okay, probably have to turn off the recommendations. It's a bit annoying sometimes. All right, so let's see. So we have this load.env, and then we have this stock crew, and we are calling this load.env again, which is to save that environment variables for the grok API key. And then this is calling this stock crew that we have imported from crew file dot kickoff. So this is how you can start a crew. So stock crew dot kickoff, and you have to create this dictionary, stocks of stock, like the actual stock that we're interested in, and you have to pass this. You have this stock, right? The key called a stock. So whatever value associated with this stock is going to be replaced in this variable that we have created in this task description. So you can have like other variables as well. Let's say that I have another variable called as price as the key and like the exact price as the value. So I can reference this particular key value here, and that value will be replaced. I'll show you how that works. So main aspect is like whatever variables you are creating in this task, you have to pass it in this inputs parameter in that same name as the key, and you can just like have the value over here. So I've created a run function, and we are printing the result, and we are like calling this run function and passing this company name, which is Tesla, and it's going to extract like the stock name, and it's going to pass it to the tool, and we would see the results. Let's try running this and see if it works. So you can see the tool output, the stock symbol, it automatically captured the stock symbol and it has passed it to the tool, and the tool has given the output as these price, stock price and the change. And then we would see this final output. Yeah, so based on the live market data and stock performance indicators for Tesla, I recommend to hold the stock the current stock prices, so on. Like we have like all those information. You can go through this in detail when you build it. So let's understand the flow, which is like more important for us. So first, the crew execution started. Name is crew, and the agent. This is the first agent that's called the one that we have developed, which is the financial market analyst. So this name you would have defined on this role. So that's the name that it takes, and it defines the stock. So if you see this, this is the task description. So if you open this analyze task, it says that analyze the recent performance of the stock. Exact same thing, but the stock, as this is a variable enclosed in curly braces, this has been replaced by this thing that we have passed over here. So Tesla, right? And then this market, financial market analyst, like you use this tool and get this information, and then this would pass this. This is a final answer from the analyst agent, right? You here you would have like mentioned the expected output, clear bullet pointed summary of current stock price, daily price change, and all these things. So that's what you're seeing here. And finally, the other agent would be called, which is the strategic stock trader, which is the second agent and the second task that we have developed. Same process. So it would have the task where the variable is replaced, and now it would like make a call whether it has to, you have to like kind of stick to the stock, hold it or sell it, and so on. And okay, so that's how this thing works. Right. So these are the aspects. So let me just like give you a quick recap of the entire steps that we did. So first thing is like make sure that you have a Grok API key. Again, doesn't need to be Grok. You can have OpenAI API key or Olam or other LLM. So I kind of found that the 8 billion Llama model sometimes it's not working well. It's giving some issues, probably like not able to do the tasks, as it's kind of like a slightly smaller model. So I went with the 70 billion version. And then we have two agents, analyst agents that's going to do the research thing using this get stock price tool. You can have like multiple tools as well, but it's maybe not recommended. As I said earlier, just use one agent for one tool. It can work with multiple tools, but it can kind of go off the way that we expected. So always like try to give one task for an agent, like one goal for an agent. So here this does a research purpose, and the trader agent makes the call of whether it should goes through the data and makes a decision of whether you have to buy the stock or not. And then you have two task analyze task and the trade task corresponding to the two agents that we have developed. And then we have a custom tool called a stock research tool, and then we have a proof.py file, and then main.py file, and so on. And here if you want to run this apple, comment this run Tesla and uncomment this apple, and then like for the other uh, stocks as well. So this is how you can do this. Again, this is a very simple demonstration, but you can build on top of this. So you can like kind of see how you can add more value to this. So let's say, for example, this tool currently gives you, just the price and the change and so on, right? You can also maybe build some other tool, some search engine tool that's going to search for the latest news about this particular stock. So let's say that there is a company XYZ, right? And you have a tool that's going to search for any latest news about that company. So if there is some positive news, there is a chance that the agent can recommend that buy the stock. So if something is going wrong with the company XYZ, now it can recommend that don't buy this because this is currently happening. So you can kind of add more tools to this so that you can add more power to this agent, and you can like make it to make better calls with this. So this is the kind of framework. So you have a agent, task, and tools. And for this tools, again, we can have like some custom tools and just like add a decorator to this, and the LLM and the agent can use this tool. And finally in this, create this crew with the flow that you want. In this case, it's analyst agent and trader agent, and then call your crew from here. So the stock crew dot kickoff, and pass your variables at the tasks and the agency, and then it will give you like the output. Okay, so this is how you can build this. I hope that this is useful for you. So please try this out. I'll give this entire code probably in a GitHub repository, so you can check that out. So that is all from my side, and I'll see you in the next upload. Thanks for watching.